The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all-out liars. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard Kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard Kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time Best in Show and two-time Gamest in Show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion El Rod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all-out liars. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard Kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard Kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time Best in Show and two-time Gamest in Show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion El Rod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all-out liars. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard Kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard Kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time Best in Show and two-time Gamest in Show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion El Rod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
What up? What up? What is up? Big shout out to everybody out there in the chat. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Can y'all hear me? Let me see some thumbs up if you can hear me. Hey, yo, 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 yo. Can you hear me? Hey, yo, yo, can y'all hear me? Can mic check 1? Mic check 1. Just want to know if y'all can hear me. Can you hear me? Mic check 1. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Okay, okay. Let me get my big shout outs right quick. Big shout out to my man, May Levy 47 in the house. What up, fam? Big shout out to my man, Bite Down. And shake that like button, the one and only. Double M Desbo in the house. What up, fam? Yo, yo, yo. The Stoic Dog Man in the house. What up, fam? Big shout out to my man, Mr. William McNeil. What up, fam? Let me see here. What else we got here? Let me see. Big shout out to my man, Mr. William McNeil. What up, fam? Unfinished Kennels in the house. What up, fam? The one and only Mr. Dickie Foster in the house. What up, fam? Big shout out to Bloodthirst, #1, aka Havoc 360 in the house. What up, fam? Big shout out to my man, Mr. Burning Star. I see you, fam. Big shout out to my man, Mr. Brandon Crawford. What up, fam? Yo, yo, my man, Johnny 5, LBC 213. I see you, fam. King Yoda. What up, fam? Hey, appreciate everybody for checking us out tonight. Big shout out to all my people out on the back street. Big shout out to all my people in the Shark Tank. See you. Appreciate everybody for showing up. Let me see here. Let me put some comments up here so I can see them. Yeah. Let me see here. Put this here. Share a link. All right, fellas. As you know, tonight we're gonna take a different path on some things. You know how we be talking about hooking up with a lot of the other kennels, how we used to get around, and you know, just basically, you know, invite people to come to the yard, check out the yard, you know, come to their spot, check out their yards, and then other things like trading dogs, or you know, sometimes we have people that just get dogs that just would come by, and we have a lot of some dogs we wasn't using, some dogs we were using, but you know, we just basically house out dogs to other people. And that was important back then because a lot of us, you know, up north, you didn't have them kind of big yards. So we kind of had dogs all over the damn place, from New York, Buffalo area, Rochester, Virginia, North Carolina, and Alabama. You know, these were all places that we just kept dogs. But the good thing about that was we had them in people's hands that were associated with the kennel. You see, that made a big difference simply because for us, we always had access to what we was using. You know, to some people that kind of sounded crazy because people did strange things. When you put your faith in people, you kind of want to hope they do all the right things, and sometimes they don't always do the right thing, which makes it a little harder for the average person to have any confidence in the people that you're associated with. And for us, it was one of them things that where we kind of had to believe some of the just believe in the people who were doing what they were supposed to be doing when it came down to these dogs. And a lot of that usually showed its face when things went wrong. Everything was cool and a lot of things was going right, but things changed once things go wrong because nobody ever wants to accept the responsibility of some of the stupid things that we do when we have your dogs and where somebody else is. A lot of the sneak dogs being bred and not knowing about it. Just a whole lot of just crazy things like that was just going on. And so what we started doing to prevent us from doing that is we all just stayed in contact with each other. Everybody had, the responsible value not to just wait on us to tell them what to do, but they had the opportunity to do things that was outside of what everybody else was doing. Lots of dogs was on your yard. They were your dogs. And when it was time to move to the next step, because everybody had a certain way of doing things and picking their prospects out, but when it came down to it, headquarters was calling all the shots because you couldn't take them. Different people can only take certain dogs. Sorry about that, fellas. For some odd reason, it just kicked me out the room. But let me get back to what I was saying. Sometimes you can only take these dogs, but so far, when you have to just turn them over into other people, it's time to just let them go. And one of the things we always did, if we took something, we always replaced it with something. But tonight we're going to talk about two kennels that basically were like a combination of individuals. They weren't really a combine, but they did a lot of things together. We wanted to go over, y'all, a lot of people may have heard of them, a lot of people may have not heard of them. They were both, I consider there was, as far as I know, most wanted, there was West Coast But as far as DDK, they could have been Texas or they could have been West Coast because we didn't know them personally, but most when they came to the yard, got a chance to meet them, and they're the ones who walked away with a puppy. And that puppy became a major piece of their puzzle when it came to what they were actually doing on their yard and which they continued to do. But the surprising part about it is what they actually were doing prior to coming to our yard. And then once you notice what they were doing prior to them coming to the yard, what actually brought them to our yard. Now, a lot of times, we always had this thing about East Coast, West Coast. But, I know a couple West Coast kennels that would come East Coast and be able to hold their own. When I say East Coast, I mean come across that, that imaginary East Coast, West Coast line and travel. The good thing about, them being able to do that gave us a chance to get our, people to know what we were doing, but that we all travel, and you got them kind of people travel, and then you understand why West Coast people were coming to our yard. You remember, they weren't the only West Coast people that came to the yard. Remember VBK, Ferrero brothers, they came and got what a day. And look at the success they had with those dogs. But it's important that when you're out here getting and doing it, doing these dogs as far as your breeding program and having a certain idea of what you want, you kind of want to just pay attention to the popularity of the kennel. And the reason I say that, because remember, back in our time, I didn't think we were popular. I had no idea that when, we had people, when Mo went to sell in the yard, he had people coming from out of the country picking up dogs, and when you into this, you don't really be having those kind of things on your mind. But back then when we were selling, when he got out the first time, was trying to get his marriage back together, we did have a web page. And when we posted on the web page what was going down, that right there led to a lot of the, I would just say, we got a lot of visitors, got a lot of people that was calling, but then you had the ones like Black Ice, VBK, Most Wanted, couple guys that just made it a point to come to the yard and see for themselves, not just send me the dog or anything like that. They would actually come and just see for themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons why we did it. We went to people's yards to do breedings and just see dogs that we were going to be breeding to, because that was important for us, because we wanted to know the people that we was dealing with. When you know the people that you're dealing with and you get a chance to look and see how they take care of the yard, you get an idea of their success. And especially when you're sitting down there having a conversation with them face to face. To me, that meant a lot, because a person that you meet in face to face and you breaking bread with them at their home, that they trust you on their yard, that holds a little bit more respect to that person, simply because they let you on the yard. And we would return the favor for the ones who would travel all the way here to do that. But the key to it is relationships, because the relationships, as we're going to show y'all and understand how and why relationships work. Like take we didn't never run nothing that McNasty was running, but being able to be around Stone City and being able to right here and Big Mike and them, you got a chance to, they were a lot closer, and we were doing a lot of things together. And then keep in mind, we done hooked up with Andrew. You done met Angel himself. And you're looking at people like Deep South, just other people that had these dogs, and you got a chance to see what they was working and how they was doing it, and then when you duplicating what they're doing just to see the same success. And the way we used to do it is, we all know that all the litter mates, you know, they don't all turn out. So how do you know which ones do? How do you know who to basically associate those puppies with? You know, as far as your breeding program, you know what you got on your yard. But when you have someone else that have something on their yard, you can always have that conversation about, you know, the litter. Remember, we used to keep all of ours, but some used to get, you know, they used to get out there. Just like with Jesse, and remember, we had Shaquille, we had Ugly. These dogs used to be on our yard. You get a chance to try things, do these certain type of breedings, and just see how it works out. If it works out for you, then you can kind of look forward to it working out for someone else. That's why you see Shaquille and Ugly and other dogs' papers. You know, like I said, some of the reasons why, you know, we really didn't get certain dogs off of certain dogs was simply because we would always use unmatched dogs. And of course, we always tell you, steroids and breeding programs, they don't work hand in hand. And back then, we didn't know the difference as far as things to do when you're trying to come off a steroid cycle. See, I know about the cycle now because it was made clear about that. But the learning part of it was the most important thing once you learned it, because prior to us learning that, you know, we didn't know no better, and thank God we was even getting puppies off of certain dogs. But nowadays, y'all don't have the same issues and the same troubles that we were all having back then due to the lack of knowledge and then the lack of experience. But one thing you can't take from them is their ability to achieve to make their yards better. When I say making their yards better, these guys that we're going to talk about tonight were always trying to make their yards better. And in the process of trying to make their yards better, they had to put what they had to work to really feel comfortable about what they were doing. And that was the good thing about how and what they were doing, because they were coming together using these dogs, breeding these dogs to come out with the dogs that they came up with. Now, you always hear me talking about everybody in this kennel had a certain responsibility, a certain job. I think that worked for all the successful ones who were doing it, because even though we had our in-house conditioning program, there were some others who didn't have in-house conditioning programs. They would shop out that conditioning and that responsibility to someone else. Now, if you didn't like a person's way of shaping a dog, you gotta, why would you give it to that person? You know, Frank Rocker was a great, you know, he was a great conditioner. I think my brother became a great conditioner based on all the information that he got and was willing to put it to the test. And over the years, it made him better. You know, time, even as far as time wise. Yeah, we used to have quick because of the type of dogs we're using, but you really got to see chance to see how well your conditioning program was when it came time to put it to the test. And once you put it to the test, you know, the proof is always going to be in the work. And with all these little things that when you put it all together, you know, you're going to be able to see, you know, your future in your breeding program, in your conditioning program, in the way you do things, because you primarily would have learned and picked that up from a predecessor or a mentor. And by that time that you start putting your own, your own sauce to it, you should be able to perform the exact same way that your predecessor or your mentor did. That's if you were paying attention. These guys here, Most Wanted and DDK, Team DDK, they had a unique way of doing a lot of things that they did. And tonight, I want you guys to help me out here, because we're going to be going through some of their pedigrees, and some of this might be new to some, and then some of this might be new. I mean, might not be as new, but the importance of it is to be able to see how they did things and how they tried things and how they continues to lock in to what they were doing and actually become successful up until their demise. You know, and their demise was no different than everybody else's demise. When they came by to get the dogs, they came by and you just lost a whole bunch of great dogs. You know, we've all know what, you know, have fallen victim to that. But again, like I said, things happen. You can't do anything about it. But the fact is, when you look back on the quality of the work that they had provided, you couldn't help but respect, you know, based on the quality of the work. The work is going to always speak for itself. These guys were those type of guys that had that in them to do that. Now, I'm trying to hold things up. Let me see who I got here. Genetics in the house. What up, fam? Mr. Steve Jackson. I see you, fam. Welcome to the Shark Tank, fam. Union City in the house. What up, fam? My man, the Rabbit Man in the house. What up, fam? Trying to see if I can't do it from here. I'm sending out this link right quick, because I went to a lot of some of you guys, and I know I got some bulldoggers in the house. Let me see here. I can do it this way. I'm gonna try to put this link out there, and I want to share if I can share this. I'm hoping I can. I'll tell you in a minute. I'm hoping all my Indiana fans out there, I'm pretty sure we know what that's going to look like tomorrow night. You know, Indiana. I'm for Oklahoma, but I love this series. I love the heart and soul that these boys put into this game, because this is not going to be a cakewalk. Me personally, I expect to see a game 7. You know, that's for real. I'm looking to see a game 7. Let me see if I can find this. Turn this to this. Y'all know I'm working with this new program, and I haven't had a time to get this thing right yet, but I'm getting better at it, so bear with me. Right here. But it was a good game last night. I just, I looked at them as like, you're up 20, and and 10 minutes before that, before you know it, the game's tied. No, well, not really tied, because I don't remember Indiana getting ahead, but I can remember them getting awful damn close. Which made it and do this if it'll show up. Quiet that down right there. Let's see if I can go into the chat. Where's the chat at? Live chat. Okay, I might be able to do it right here. Here we go. Let me see if I can do it like this, huh? Okay. Do that like that. Okay. I think that'll work right there. I'm just putting that out there because in case y'all want to come up and put, as I get ready to go into this, I just want to make sure you guys can come in and join in. I appreciate that, Union County. Y'all was biting my head off, so this is all something new, but I'm working on it. RBG Lone Wolf, I see you, fam. Oh, man. What up, fam? Mr. Corey Jones. What up, fam? Let me see here. Rabbit Man. What up, man? H.A. What's up, fam? My man, Mr. Courtney Edwards, I see you, fam. Yo, wordless. What up, man? My man Eli Monster in the house. What up, bro? Supreme. Excellent. What up, fam? So for keeps, I see you, fam. So let's, I think I've seen Johnny 5 in here. Let me see that. Go back here. Yeah. Now, little fellas, get ready to take this ride down on this bus as we get back here in the past. Now, everything that we talk about, I want y'all to understand that none of this stuff was new. A lot of things that we did back in the day, somebody else may have already done it, but just because they done something that looked like what you did does not mean you're going to get the same results that they did, because there's no guarantee that you had the experience or the knowledge to really even understand what they were actually doing. One reason I say that, because I remember on one of the shows they was talking about dogs and being prospects. And after reading the definition of prospects and just you kind of understand what prospects means, you look at it and you see, a prospect. And I'm going to just say from our point, a dog never became a prospect until the culling process had been implemented. Because you got to think about everything that was going on before then. Just because you made a breeding, it's not going to guarantee you, because of the breeding, that you were going to get any prospects out of that breeding because somebody else did it. There's nothing to guarantee you that. So I just always say you look at a breeding for what it is. You like the breeding, and you're going to give it time to see, let it grow up. So just because you see puppies running around, you can find the ones that you like, especially if you're a breeder. If you can find the ones that you like and you can keep them and sell everything else. But that doesn't necessarily, for me, make them a prospect unless you're selling dogs, and that, your perception of that dog being a good dog in someone else's hand because of the way it acts, that becomes a prospect for your selling purposes. But in this conversation here, we're not talking about selling dogs. We're looking at dogs that we're going to be, looking for dogs that we're considering to be contenders. So I understood from the breeder's point when you look at a prospect, but from the box man, the dog man, he's looking for a contender, and his prospect won't be even considered until that culling period. All the things you do up until while they puppies, all that's just, preparation. I think that's almost like mandatory, because your purpose is going to be, you already know what your purpose is going into that part. It shouldn't be, hard to understand and know which way you're going, simply because you already understand your purpose. Well, we understood our purpose when we did the things that we were doing. The culling process is always going to be built on when you walk up out there and you say, and you're working all of them. Everybody gets that pre-love, everybody gets that bite bar, everybody gets that walk, everybody gets that flirt pole and that talking to and that love, because what we're doing, we're building all the things we're needing to give you the opportunity to get what we call our culling process. You make it that first 5, 10 minutes, you're looking at them, okay, that one there, he became a prospect. Why? Because he showed me something I needed to see, and I liked that about him. Remember, I know it was something I seen that I liked about him. In this side of the business, when you say that was something that you've seen, you remember the purpose, understand the purpose. So in order to identify that prospect, is that decision is going to be based on something that you've seen. Generally, for us, it was during our culling process. Now, just because you might have made it, to be that prospect, that means you get another day in that culling process. And remember, I'm speaking from, the box man. because some of them, that calling process can be a very hard process. Not everybody call dogs the same. I mean, I thought we were pretty hard on our calling, but there's some that, they be really wanting to make sure that, remember, that prospect can take what they put out there. They put them through a lot to even make them contenders, because that's where the contender conversation comes from. You've already made it beyond the prospect part. You've made your decision on that prospect. Now that prospect just became a contender. He's no longer another prospect. He is actually a contender. The only thing he's left for him to do is to prove himself based on the purpose that you set forth. One of the guys made a good comment about he knew the mother, the father, the grandmama, all that. When you have that kind of stuff on your yard and you can say things like that, that really does work, for that person and his purpose, because he knows what he wants to see. He might not can't see what he wants to see, because that's going to take time. But because of his breeding, and he knows the attitudes and what the grandmother and what these dogs look like, because he was the one doing the raising of these dogs, he has a different look. But to call them prospects in the box term moving forward, most dog men that were box men, they kind of, they kind of was like funny about that word, a prospect. It's almost like you was never seen a dog do anything and you just called him game. He's a dead game dog can be like, those things back in our time, it's kind of, make you look sideways. But I guess over time, the way y'all use words now mean different things than the way we were using words back then. Very seldomly heard anybody say anything about a prospect unless you were rolling. You're rolling dogs now. And see, now you're at that point, for us, we did most of our stuff on the yard. But then think about, these are the times that you got people just rolling dogs, and they're telling you, this is one of my prospects right here. He's right there with the dog. That's his prospect. That dog done made it this far. That, people coming in, and now we're fitting to get a chance to see what that dog does with on somebody else's yard. That's a prospect. So keeping that thought in mind, take advantage of doing the little things when you start talking about, the calling and picking what's what, because when it all comes down to it, it's always going to come down to the work and what kind of work's going to be involved. Now, I got my man Mo that stepped up in here. Y'all got to forgive me because I know I'll be having my name over there and I ain't got my other computer going, but I'm going to let him pick this up. Y'all get ready to take this ride down memory lane, but get your pen and paper out, because this is going to be a ride of a lifetime. Because I don't know how many people ever heard about these guys, but, and the reason I say that, because I had, some of our KPs, Mo was always telling them about them, and people would look at like sideways, and then you have to think about, well, these people real or not. Well, for us, we know they're real because they came to the yard. They actually did walk away with a dog. You can see that dog, what they did with that dog, which led to the stuff that they had on their yard. And that's something totally outside of some of the other people that got these dogs. But I picked them tonight because I thought that they had a very serious breeding way of thinking and how they did things. and the success that came behind it is kind of what made me want to talk about it, because however they did it, whatever they did, it worked. Turn this over to Mo right quick here. Yeah, do it like this. So what I got to call you when I get ready to kick over? What up, everybody? I'm trying to get this thing in here. Oh, how about this? What up, everybody? Thanks for coming out. I'm here to jump in this thing. I know I'm a little late, but I got to catch up. Like Mike was saying, I wanted to come in and touch on some things and some stuff that I was dealing with. I got some stuff to show y'all. And one of the things you always hear me talk about is how we copied along and stuck with a program that we saw all the other big kennels do. And tonight I'm going to take y'all on one of them kind of runs, and we're going to evaluate that theory. The theory that I said I used, I'm going to show y'all that, and you got to keep in mind now. The one thing, before I dive into this, I want y'all to keep this one thought in mind. We are the ones to first cross the Stone City Mayday stuff. And then if you ain't calling this it, copying behind somebody taking what they saw us do and took off with it, like we say, we looked at what they were doing and took off with it. Well, it was like that ladder never stopped. Okay. Now, he might say, I wanted to pull this number up right here. What I do? What I got to click on? No. So, right. So that's what they see out there. That right there. Okay. Okay. Hey, we're gonna start off with this one right here. Oh, okay. I see it now. Okay. And the reason why I'm starting off with this one right here, because this is the kennel who came to my yard. Two guys came to my yard and they bought Madame. But I'm starting off from where they started off at, because, you don't know somebody. You always go back and you'll check them and see what they did. Okay, like
remember when I left the game, I walked away from the game. I walked away in 2008. After my arrest, I shut everything down because they was looking pretty deep into my world. So what's the safest way to be? Cut all ties. Now, a lot of this stuff was going on, prior to me understanding and knowing about it, because remember, I didn't come back around, guys, until this podcast stuff. Okay. So a lot of this ain't got nothing to do with me, but I can tell you about what I do know. The star right here is probably the first star they got. As you can see, there they are down here at the bottom. Okay. This is probably what they was messing with in the beginning. This stuff right here. And we didn't have anything else after this. So I would always say they took this little dog here and bred it to Ruckus. Already, they have an idea, they know what they're doing. But this is what they started with. I can guarantee y'all that. This stuff right here. Okay? You can tell they was trying some things because all these dogs we see are familiar. Okay, what's that, Mike? No, but that is remember that was Rennie. Rennie was bred that. They made Waves Mr. Rennie off of Renegade. So yeah, that would be Tony Wade's roommate sister right here. Yeah. But this is what they started off with. Okay. I think when they ran into these dudes right here, these guys right here, they got in touch with these guys right here. This is where a lot of their dogs started coming from. Okay. That's like the mindset of the breeder. Who has the female? He definitely came in good with Ruckus, that's for sure. But when he made this breeding here, these guys here, you can definitely tell they are somewhere down around Texas, or they know evolution pretty well. Because these guys were already set messing with Mayday dogs. Okay, see that breeding there? Now we all know this breeding here is the first Mayday Stone City cross. And they made this breeding several times. Okay. That's her. Yeah, that's a female. Looking like Brat there, don't she? But look how she's bred. She's double bred Mayday, with Stone City Mayday being bred back to Mayday. The best match dog at 47 in the world. Said to be the hardest biting dog to sire by Mayday. 8 contract matches, wins, 7 of them didn't go over 35, and one of her 8 was into champion honey, which went an hour 45. But you see the breed. Keep in mind, they was already diving in with these guys, because remember, they took this dog right here. Let me go back so y'all don't forget where I got before I take off. I started with old Bam Bam. Right, that's the dog that they bred that Ruckus bitch to. It was red, bred the Bam Bam. That's the Ruckus stuff. And that produced the female. Which they probably knew they had something nice because, I mean, she was a one-time winner. You know, she went 2 hours and 48 minutes. And we were just talking about the record stuff. You know what I mean? Like what I say, if you're going to get some Cunningham stuff, get the record stuff. This is what I was talking about. Okay. Now, where the most want to come in from there? After this breeding right here. Oh, shit. Bam, bam. After they did this breeding right here, this is the DK boys. All right. Now you see most wanted. They didn't already bred the record stuff. Okay, the one that I wanted to bring your attention to. Grand champion, most wanted, gunner, 8-time winner, right? Look how he's bred. We know about Bam Bam, but now we're taking the red female and we're breeding her to Deep South Max, Grand Champion Max. Well, it used to be Grand Champion Max. He's Champion Max now. But, you know, he was a 5-time winner, 1-time game loser. He lost to Cochise, Champion Cochise. But as you see, even with that breeding coming off, Mayday, making a double bred Mayday, and there's Luke Kane, and there's Goofy. One thing about Goofy girl, just show you Goofy girl. See how Goofy girl's bred? Now, I remember seeing Goofy girl and Twisted before she was probably one of the dogs that got taken when Twisted got taken off the yard. But this is one of those dogs they bought back when they made that deal with STP with Luke Kane. They bought the big red back. That's the daddy to Champion Dum Dum and Champion Trina. Trina was the dog that they beat Big Thickets Mallory with. So her sire came from STP. And he won a game assist show, I think in a besting show on a long match that he went with. Okay. But they made that breeding right there. Show some of the offspring. Get back to her. There's Max. Okay, let's keep it going. I'm trying to speed it up here. Just showing you, look at the concept. Max, Stone City. So this is not a dumb move. Because then you got the yellow butt right there. You got yellow butt's little sister right there. So that's already a Stone City Mayday cross right there. Remember, we still got Twisted right here. Then we still got Luke Kane. Remember, Luke Kane was on Deep South Yard. When they bred Luke Kane, she was still Deep South. He was Deep South Luke Kane when they made this breeding right here, the Goofy girl. I remember when they were puppies. I remember when they made the breeding. There's Tira. I remember when we made this breeding here, Twisted to Tear, because I had two of Max's little mate. I had a little mate sister and a little mate brother out of this breed. The sister died on me. For some odd reason, might have got bit by a snake, because I think that's what it was, because the same area that Buck Rogers was in, I remember their sister was in the same area. But the little mate brother got stolen off the yard. You know, and remember I was telling you about the puppies I was riding down the highway with, and the people blowing their horn because these puppies was in the back tearing up each other? Well, that was this litter right here, Max's litter. So there was some hell of 5 young dogs in that litter. And I'm telling you, I mean, every one of these dogs was nice. So I think this is their first real Stone City Mayday dogs, but they started off smart because they got their hands on this dog, female. They ended up buying this female from these dudes. But from that point on, you're going to see what these guys here, and most one has started doing a lot of stuff. Okay? Now, here's one. This 8-time winner, Gunner, again, who most wanted made the breeding, but D.D. Kennel had the Bam Bam dog. You know, they, again, took the breeding, made the cross. So you see there's an interaction. If they made the breeding, that means the bitch must have been their bitch. Okay? Most wanted the brat. 13 times Mayday when they made this breeding here. The best bred Mayday. They can hear me now. All right, fellas, I'm back. I don't know what happened with them. The thing just went blank, zipped. Okay, I'm back up. Okay. The bat female. You know, they 13 times. Okay, there's Madame. Okay. Now, at the time that I was selling these puppies, I wasn't really selling them, but these guys had called me and they wanted to buy they were looking for a female off a brat, and which I had made 2 in the brat pups. Whole litter was red nosed little puppies. It came and they spent $2,500 for that pup. This was 2004. After that, I never heard of them or heard from them again, because by 2004, that's the first line when I first got out of the dogs. Remember, that's when, at the time that I sold Madame's, those pups, I sold Brat, I sold Sassy Girl. That's when I got out. That was with the wife. But as you see, they took the same idea. Remember, but they were already doing this before they even met me. You know what I'm saying? All this was going on. Basically, this part for sure was going on before they even met me. Now, they could have got this breeding off later on with Max, because this was definitely a little around that time period. But this is a little red ruby bitch. Now, as you look at these things, you ask yourself, well, they must have been matching a lot of dogs. Well, if you knew them like what I knew of them, you know, when they came and bought the little female from me, you know, they could have probably bought a whole lot more other dogs at the time, but I wasn't selling a lot of dogs, and I already had a lot of people who had already had plans on buying those major ones, like Brat, Sassy Girl, and all those dogs was on the market too. You know, and they already have been, you know, they actually already been, you know, sold. We were just waiting on the transporter to come and get them. But they were matching dogs with these guys long before they got to me. So that I can understand why, and they must be around in the Texas area, because they took my dam, and the first thing they did is went back to where they started at. They went back to what they began. Remember, they started back here, right there. Here, Barracuda, Padana. So they had one of those basically macho buck dogs that went on ahead to produce macho buck in them. But they were definitely on the Mayday Stone City thing. You know what I mean? And this is, like I said, this was after already all this, the Mayday Stone City with Little Buck, you know, all that stuff was already going, had already been done. There's Sir Kill. I mean, all the way down to the way they took Sir Kill and bred to Romeo. If you actually look at Sassy Girl's pedigree, they have the same bottom, except Romeo comes off of Tramp. And Sassy. On Sassy, our Sassy Girl, it was, instead of Tramp, it was Tance Bruiser. And it was actually a double bred Tance Bruiser dog that was Sassy Girl when we bred her to Little Mayday. He was double bred Tance. She was double bred Tance Bruiser. That was Going Hard's Apache, Yellow Apache. So the concept of what was going on, you could almost like this is when we had the website. You know, I had a website out there, and I had these dogs out there. You know, I had Buck Rogers up there, Baby Man was up there. So when you see these kind of breedings right here, I know that these breedings, it was like, no, I wasn't the only one paying attention and copying, making moves. They was doing the same thing I was doing. Remember, Evolution got involved when Stone City and Southern Kennels came together. Evolution was like that center point where they could bring those dogs together, and that's how those breedings, you know, got made. That's how Chico and Eric and them got a hold of a lot of those Stone City Mayday breedings, because they was like right there in the center of all that connection. Okay, but my thing was, look at the dogs that's being matched. Are they matching a lot of these dogs? Well, I did show you this one. Okay, now back during the time that this dog had to be getting done, there was a lot of dog men out there. You know what I mean? And when you putting stuff out there like that, you know what I mean? You're gonna have movement. That's all I can tell you that much. And if you was to me, the way I look, see, I say, God, a damn dog she looked like Brat. But that was a good breeding. And the breeders they made after that made some real smart ass breeds. Like this right here, that's a good ass breed. You know, for them to take this female to breed the Max, that means they had to come to Florida. They came to Florida and got Madame. So they ain't had no problem coming to Florida to breed the Max. How would they have known about Max? Well, at the time that I sold Madame, you know, Max's legitimate brother had not been stolen yet. So for them to even go back to Max, I mean, to go and even breed the Max, you know, that was a smart move. So they know they had not only they had an eye on me, they had their eye on the Barracuda. You know what I'm saying? Twisted and going hard stuff. And as you're going to notice, you know, what y'all going to notice, you know, these dogs was going, they was selling them. Just like this one here. Look at this breed here. They're taking the brat and they're crossing it. Look how the Chucky dog is being bred. Now, this is still not most wanted yet. You know, they catching it, they catching it, but look who's doing the breeding to these dogs. Who's getting their hands on them? I told you they wasn't running short on money. Yeah, you know, I would have to say they were like, you know, the way they carried themselves, they were definitely BMF when I met them. You know, they had a nice ass, big ass truck. They was blinged up, you know. But that's much I can tell you about them. But, you know, as I look at them and I go back and I look at these guys, I go back to these guys right here. These guys have got to be in good with Victor and Evolution or Evolution. If anybody would know them, it would be Evolution in them. The other thing that had me tripping on these dogs was this move right here. This move. See, that's a badass move. You know, and I said, you know, even back then, them Bujo dogs, them Eli dogs, you know, they start crossing them dogs in the Maydays where you got them black dogs and you cross them into them Mayday dogs because that's what Psycho was. The dog that we went 3 hours and 45, was 3 hours and 15, 17 minutes with, he was an Eli dog, but he was off of Dolly. They took champion Mickey and bred to Dolly that came up with that dog we had, Psycho. So that's definitely showing you they were searching for some other stuff, and it was some pretty good dogs. You know, and this is back in 2006. Now, did I put the red up there yet? Did I make it the red? Okay. Red had the pit. Okay. Go back. Now, they took this little female, this hammer, now look how they made this breed. Again, what we're seeing evolution again. Now you see it. Now we're getting past all the DDK stuff. Now we're getting into the most wanted stuff and the crosses that they're making. Again, always pay attention to the breeder. No, because that's I always tell you that because remember that's what I was doing. You know, a lot of my line was just always tell you guys pay attention to the breeder because what's his mindset doing? He's the one making decisions. I'm trying to find that 44 times point. Yeah, I know I got it written down somewhere. But that 44, 50, 54, yeah. No, he wasn't at 54 though. Who? Okay. Well, it had to be off of her. I gotta go back and check her offspring. Oh, that's 43. That's the one I was looking for. Oh, I see. No, that's 13. That's 13 times Mayday. Okay, I'm trying to find that wasn't hammer. Let me make sure. Yeah, it was. All right. This dog right here is 54 times Mayday. Brother sister breed. 54 times Mayday. Can you see them? I see them all in there. What do you do with a 54 times Mayday dog? Nothing but look at him. This guy right here made the breeding. But I see it. What do you do with a 54 times Mayday dog? I mean, when you lock it in, you can't do no more Mayday after that. I mean, it's really almost a waste of time. I mean, to go this far to get that much, I liked it better when they was crossing out the 13 times with Eli. You know, they stay consistent with their match dogs. Because you're not going to, a cross like this is almost too tight. I mean, it looks good, but, you know, from my breeder's point, it would have been useless. I've been trying to take that shit to some, again, that's a brother-sister breeding. See the siblings? Brother-sister breed. I liked it better when they was taking it and going to the with the Eli stuff. Okay, but let's keep going. Okay, now there's some pointers ones that I wanted to get into, and it was like I was saying, the Eli stuff. I'm gonna show y'all some black Mayday dogs. Now, this is some of the, this is, see this breeding here? They go Fat Bill Bolero, bred the Chinaman. Why is this dog up here? You see what I'm saying? That's why this dog is up there. Let's go check out old Eli. See that? Blackstone, Harley. See what other name do I have on the Southern Kennels. Again, they must have been around Victor or Evolution because they was messing with them dogs. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. What I was just doing. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Pay attention to the kennels that I'm pointing out here, y'all. What was I just on? That Black Ace I just did? No, I think I did him already. No, they were giving people hope. Like I was saying, remember, now I know where Victor got it from because, and they probably picked that up from Victor because, again, I said Psycho was off of Dolly. He was Mayday's half brother. They both was off of Dolly, and I was messing with Victor. Another black dog. But what do you see them doing? What did you see them? What did they do? Look at the bottom. Okay, let me keep it going. Did nobody lose me on that, right? You want me to take out my phone, Mike, and keep an eye on it? Okay. Yeah, that was Mayday in there. Dead game, match weight 46 pounds, grand champion, 5-time winner. Look how he bred now. One thing for sure, and them for certain. I was telling you guys that same old thing. Put that Eli stuff together. Y'all want to see some bulldogs? I'm just gonna see if I can slip over before I go back and show you what I'm talking about. I'm trying to spell psycho, Mike. Here's Psycho. That's the 3 hour 17-minute dog that we had. Okay? Keep in mind, we ended up with them just like they did. Wonder where they got it from. Maybe where they heard. That's probably why Victor got one of them dogs. So it's not unusual because you see we had one on our yard. My boy Duke. And like I said, beat that game, man. Was good. We always talk about this match being one of our greatest matches. This was one of our greatest matches. All spring, Upper Dolly. You know, and what was they banking on? They was banking on this part right here, this part of Dolly. This is what they was working off of. You see it? So God be asking, pay attention to all this good stuff in here. Remember, this is Dolly. Oh, this is all in Dolly. So when guys be talking about how they was putting stuff together back then, this is the kind of stuff that Victor and them was doing. And for some odd reason, it always seemed like the guys who was doing dogs was getting their hands on them. One thing for damn sure, we was lucky because Victor made damn sure his dogs got in the right hands to play with them. Or you wouldn't have never known nothing about these dogs right here, especially, you know, for the simple fact that we had our hands on one and this was a good dog. We put him on Dum Dum, and Dum Dum was a young dog, and Dum Dum was able to go with this dog. Dum Dum was a young dog and went with this dog, and we knew then that Dum Dum was going to be a champion. Not only did he become a champion, but the little mate's sister is the dog to beat Mallory. So we were putting our prospects. Deep South was putting their baby prospects on dogs like him. And that's how we roll. You know what I mean? They was right. They was prospects then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this dog right here, we was checking him out. He whipped a 1-time winner and a 2-time winner before we took him on the circuit and got snuck. But it didn't even matter. But he definitely became a contender. That's why we went there. And you can't tell me this and that down bottom didn't put the gameness into him. Because he scratched like he scratched at 317 like he started. The scratch he made at the beginning of the show, he ended with the same type of scratch. Straight bulldog. And he was in a war. I always thought Martell and Radar was a great match. But I think this match right here was an upper for me. That's why I brought that point in mind, because you see that right there. What do we see him doing over here? Okay, it was this one, but what I got to take it backwards? No. Okay, right here. Go back. Keep going back. But remember, I didn't never come off of them. I opened a new window. It wasn't this window. It was this one. Oh, that's our show, right? Yeah, that's what it's on. It's on the show. Matt? Okay. Yeah. Okay, did you take him on that one yet? I think it was this one. There it is. We're back. Yeah, if you go back and look at that, and that's 2006, but look at that. You know, same thing. But we dealing with the straight Eli. Maverick, Herman, Black Brenda. Yeah. So we can't say that, you know, that's just a point I'm trying to point out, guys, before y'all get away from the thought. There was a thought. Back in there was a time back there the guys was matching dogs. I ain't talking about no breeders. I'm talking about guys that was matching dogs. Putting that together. No? Okay, that was Champion Santana. I think I already had Red up there, didn't I, Mike? Yeah, she was an 8-time winner. Oh, Red? Yeah, let me see. I'm just gonna go back to 223. Yeah. Yeah, he was, this dog right here was a double grand champion. And, you know, I met one of my, there's a little right there. Now, the thing about this one here is we're going to see the same old concept. I had to lead y'all to the water so y'all could sip it a little bit. Then I'm going to have y'all drink this shit. No, they just didn't stop there. I had one of my guys, you know, he got a Niggerino dog, and I was showing him how they was taking these Eli dogs and crossing them up. Look at all that Niggerino. He even got a Red Rover in their shit. Now, that's a lot of Niggerino. Got the Jap dog. Now, there's no reason and no doubt to think that this dog didn't have the capabilities after seeing Grand Champion Santana crossed into this bottom stuff. Red Ruby and them crossed into this bottom stuff. just the breedings that they making. And the thing about it, imagine, they ain't trying to do whole yards and shit, but they matching dogs. You know, these ain't the kind of guys that I would be expecting to see their pedigrees popping up on pairs online until they careers are over. You know, like Jamie did, like a lot of the guys that, you know, that didn't put their stuff up until after, you know, their careers were done. But this one right here was impressive because, yes, this dog was a real double grand champion, male. Look, Mayday cross, Mayday Stone City cross with really some more Eli. You know, we already know what Niggerino gonna take us back to. All this Niggerino shit, top and bottom, but the bottom is the one. He got the Sorrel. He got all the right stuff. And no, that's the that's Grand Champion Shade Lady. Let me make sure. No, that ain't Shade Lady though. That's Sorrel's though. You know, if got no sort of Sorrel stuff, you see the Niggerino stuff. That's what the Niggerino dogs look like when you look at them. Now you keep piling Niggerino all up on there. That's what I call a nice 50-50 cross. So when I look at this right here, I'm gonna take it all the way back where we started at. When they took Reno and bred Reno into this heavy Mayday shit, that's a 50-50 cross. What do you think you gonna get if you make the and evidently they must have liked the Reno dog. Because there's nowhere in the world I'm taking my grand champion bitch that can produce some shit and go on a guess. There was something about this dog that they had to like. I don't know who Kirkwood was, what was going on here, but there was definitely some conversation. And these boys right here had a tendency of finding what they was looking for. You know what I'm saying? Most wanted, it would have something to do with the breeding and the owners. $50-50 cross. And that's the kind of $50-50 cross that, you know, me personally, that's what $50-50 crosses are supposed to do. That's when you know you done made a better dog. But if you notice, they still playing around in their yard where it all started at. I mean, these dudes is the one that got that dog out of Victor and them or Evolution, because Diana and Mayday was bred more than once. You know? Don't forget, Hannah came down off of that stuff. Little Maid's sister. Sibling. There go Matcha. There go Matey. Damien. There go Black Ice. There go Stone City's Comeback. Yeah, you see them all on there. You know? Yep, same stuff. Matcha, the same dog produced 357. Yeah, I wanted to bring y'all up on that one right there. Go back and check. Y'all remember this one? Hannah and Red were little mates. So I would say, yeah, they had to be around. They had to be somewhere close to Texas around them boys there. That DDK, who knows, there might be another, some of that, they come by so many different names. I kind of wonder if that's another connection to evolution. I don't know. I'm just saying they had their hands, they was in their yard. They was definitely playing in their yard. You see what it says? She beat a 2-time winning bitch that beat Miss Jackson. So she beat champion Jezebel in Michael Kennels, one of the best 40.5 females in the world. That was Hannah. A Little May's sister. Yeah, a Little May's sister was a grand champion. 8-time winner. Okay. Nobody having no questions why I keep moving, huh? I just keep on going, huh? So, me, I say this for the guy for the day is I would be up there looking into going back to the old way of doing things because it definitely seemed like it was working. Here's another cross. I'm going back to Max and the Dan across the red bitch. Definitely was a producer. She was producing. You know what I mean? What do you already know? Max wasn't having no troubles. There she go, all up under Max. They go Mad Max and Baby. T Max and Trina. There's Trina right there. That's the female to be big thick as Mallory. Back in posted in 2006, but look how they bred. We seen these breedings earlier. Remember I told y'all about the big red dog? That dog, yeah, that's the dog that came from STP when it got Luke came. Him and Goofy Girl, and I think there was something else and some money, but that dog right there came right in, one of the best in show, in gaming show. They got from STP. So I would think that was a pretty good deal coming from STP, leaving such a great dog like Luke came there. You know, they definitely got their money's worth because they got Goofy Girl in that dog, and like I said, they bred this dog. Again, who had this dog? Deep South. Oh, somebody in the back. Mike said, ain't nobody in the room. Ain't nobody want to come in and sit with me. You know, see, I'm just running through them. I be moving fast, but what I'm trying to get y'all to see in the movement is watch the pedigrees, watch these breedings. It's not a whole bunch of shit being thrown together. And not only is not a whole bunch of shit being thrown together, you're seeing most of the killers that I'm dealing with are matching their dogs. Sorry. You know, there's trainer siblings, champion Dum Dum. And I seen both of these dogs, both of them were good dogs. But guess what? I said, when you have dogs and you see these breedings and you see that these kennels that match dogs, a lot of dogs, these are breeding programs that you see being used by guys that were matching dogs. Take note of that. Pay close attention because these guys, every one of them that I pulled up were matching their breedings, checking what they were breeding. Prime example. Prime example. We wouldn't even know about Trina if we didn't know that she went over there and the way she went over there and did Mallory. You know, that took care of that controversy about, you know, his shit would kill all Mayday dogs. Well, that was not as much as true as he thought it was. But look at the cross. I mean, for them to pull this move here, and I would have did it too. I would have jumped over the fence and bought me some other stuff in. Because remember, Victor was trying a lot of stuff. A lot of guys were like, this is the boy who was breed crossed right here. You know, good cross. Pass Junior, Black Pass, double bred. And what are you doing? You're doing 50-50 crosses right here. Doing 50-50, we call it 50-50. And they're not really, because you can go back in here into this pedigree here, and you're going to find some Carver stuff down in here. You're going to find it up in here too. You know, so I can't really call it a 50-50. But it's definitely got all the right outcrosses like the Red Boy. You know what I'm saying? Hmm? Check one. Was that people in the room? Huh? You want to check and see if it's blurry now? Come up. Okay, y'all. Let me know if it. Give me some thumbs up, y'all. If it looks a little clear. Okay, this is Big Red. It went 2 hours and 47 minutes. But remember, I was telling y'all, I said, look at the cross. Okay, I'm gonna start down here at the bottom with Mary Lou. Okay, there's Grand Champion Buck. See him down there? See that Patrick stuff up here? Gonna get it. Go back far enough. You see the colors. Now we getting down to the bully son stuff. Remember what I said? The Eli stuff. No, what we boiling down to in them other pedigrees, we're gonna see same old setup. Bolio, Eli. There it is. For those that don't want to get a clear picture, we'll do it one more time and go back this way. There it is again. More of it. So when I was telling y'all, you know, y'all want to see some bad made dog, start crossing that boil stuff back into some of that Mayday, you're gonna see a little different. Like Gameville, they do it. They took their boils cross, even though they got Kunta in it. That's really a line breeding, because I'm gonna tell you like this, you know, if you take Kunta and make him little Mayday, then you still got a lot of Mayday there. But there's still enough Eli in that cross that that's what they was reaching for, even if they didn't know that was little Mayday or not, you know? That Eli cross with that yellow, Bolio. It didn't, I mean, they got good dogs out of it. It's going to take you back to where we started at. Deep South made that breed. They produced that line. Match dogs. Just pointing it out. And these are guys that's not even breeding pedigrees. I'm pretty sure they looking at those pedigrees before they make those moves. You can believe that, because I do the same thing. I match it up because I don't know what I'm going to get, but here's my concept. If you breed good match dogs that you know that you like, then what you're telling yourself is the chance that I'm taking a chance, but my percentage of getting the kind of dogs I'm looking for are high compared to me just grabbing dogs based on the way they breed and putting them together. No, I'm gonna put some match dogs on my shit. So my percentage is higher. My chances of getting what I'm trying to get, and when I do get it, my chance of getting it to where I want it to go is there. And there's the end result of that. It didn't take that dog to be a champion to get that done. No, it didn't. She produced the bitch that won over Big Thick's Kennels. Sibling. Look at her sibling, Gina Boy Chanel. Yeah. Annabelle. Okay? Maluda. Yeah. Maleda. You see what I'm saying? And she was a destroyer. I'm gonna get a picture of her. I think Gina Boy got a picture of her. That's not buckskin, that's red. Red nose, and they all have that little chemistry. They all look like they're supposed to look. Almost looking like a little like Brat. Chanel destroyed shit. She was another good one. You know, I was surprised the Gina Boys when I forgot what show they was on. They never even mentioned Chanel's name in that conversation. I was wondering, Chanel should have been the baddest dog, baddest bitch they had, because that bitch was a killer. She was like Brat, Annabelle, all those dogs. And one thing, if you notice, even when you breeding, mess with those Mayday dogs, you notice something? Bitches produce. If you were to go add up Mayday's males compared to the bitches that came up off of Mayday, there's a lot of good producing bitches, you know, that comes down off of the Mayday line. He produced good producing bitches. You know, let alone some good match dogs, because there was a lot of badass match dogs came out of that shit. Again, look at the crosses though. You know, it's supposed to work. Victor was doing these kind of things, and Southern Kennels was the breeder. If you're paying attention and you're copying, you start picking up these things, you become successful, because all you're doing is you're not trying to change nothing. If anything, let me start where they started at, so I got a good foundation to start with. You know, at least I ain't guessing. I ain't guessing. Okay? Now I'm gonna take y'all somewhere. Yeah, I think I don't forgot whose show that was I was on, and they were asking me about the crab dog. Okay, I didn't really understand what they was talking about when they were talking about crab, like, you know, like they was some crab ass shit, but no, here's some crab dog. And it's gonna be some crab dog. Y'all gonna be surprised that I took you here. But here's a good one. There's a good one right there, West Penn. What better person should I grab than West Penn? A lot of you guys don't know who he is or what he was, but don't he look like a Buckus? A red brindle Buckus? A red yellow buck? You know, we got dogs look just like him. See the ears? We got dogs look just like him coming out of Baby and Buck Rogers, Little May Brothers. Yellow Day was that color. Ian Bucko was that color. Got pictures of him. I think I showed him before on the yard. West Penn, look how that dog is bred. There's the crab dogs. Now, just in case y'all don't know what the crab dogs is, Patrick, tombstone dogs. Got a little snoot in it. But these are carver dogs. There's Tonka right there. You know what I mean? Bullet. You see what I'm saying? But again, gotta be paying attention. We're talking about producing. Your chances to produce. See this little run here? These little runs. This is the difference between guys reading papers and guys is matching dogs. They're gonna be a little bit more picky because they want to stay. You want to continue to play. Now look what it looks like. Now we're always down there, back there with nigger. Now all of it starts looking like it's coming together. That's the crab dogs. Another example. Okay. What is Coca-Cola? You know, this is really getting old back here. Anytime you see those PRs. Yeah, but I just wanted to take y'all because I didn't understand what he was asking me, but I once I looked and said, okay, I know what the crab dogs is. That's Tonka in there. The dogs coming off the Tonka stuff. You know, which was some good dogs. See that right there? Then you have that nigga stuff in it too. You know, when y'all add that nigga stuff too, that nigga stuff will go in anything. Champion Bucky Boy. Grand Champion Buck Wild. You know, you seeing Matchdog. One-time game loser. Where's that Grand Champion at? Let me take a look at him. Taurus. Another hot producer female. Look at this cross. Remember the little bull cross thing? Take a look at that. The ideal. I call it the ideal. Now West Penn, he's another guy, matches dogs. Look what he's doing. Being that he didn't make the breeding, if West Penn wanted it, it had to be nice. Black dog, okay? If he wanted, it had to be something special. I don't think a lot of you guys know about them boys out of, you know, the Texas Express, but they have some bulldogs too. Just to give y'all a little insight on what their stuff breaks down to, carver stuff. Tombstone, Boleo. Same shit as the crab stuff. Same stuff as the crab stuff. Look what you're seeing though. You notice these things. We kept seeing these males doing what? Breeding different bitches and then taking them and bringing them back together. The concept, the patterns that they do. Patterns. Those are formulas. Remember, that was juicy. Now, I think I hit the top. That was the bottom of the top. But it's basically the same thing because I think I just hit the top up here, didn't I? Did I hit arrow? Okay, well, I'm hit arrow. It was Comanche. Look at that shit. We already know where this is going to take us. We've been there already tonight. So we're going down here to the bottom, and you see it's taking us in the same direction. There's patterns to this, guys, and I'm just showing you. If you want to, and let me take you back to where we started. Why did I go to West Penn? Because I wanted to point out breeders and the reason why they do things. But the bitch was a producer. And I always say, when you add that buck stuff to it, the buck stuff was, y'all can throw your hands in the air and hoop and holler, but the Patrick stuff was good stuff, but it was not like the buck stuff. The poncho stuff, it was they were good dogs. Okay? They were good dogs, not taking nothing away from the poncho dogs. They were good dogs. Remember, you see Patrick's tail all up in there. Lady in red, and this is poncho. The only difference is here. These dogs right here. These dogs right here. Just a different direction, but you're still dealing with Boleo. Look at Bull. Look at Crunch Cremator. Tombstone. Different makeup of dogs in Grand Champion Buck. But even still, there's Red Baby still throwing good dogs. But if y'all understand what I'm saying, I know I'm kind of zipping through, but I'm pointing out major pieces and factors. All the way down to the Boyle's dogs and how the Boyle's dogs come in the same consensus of these dogs. He produced a lot of great game dogs, though, y'all. He did produce a lot of game dogs. But okay, let's go check out this one here. Yeah, okay, look closely. You see what I'm saying? We know how Poncho breed. Watch how they breed this dog here. Remember, the female had to go there. Look at the female. Same old stuff that we were dealing with earlier. You know, Taylor Little May's sister cross, you know what I mean? These crosses, look, boy, Bob, these crosses, they're a little different because they got the tombstone. But the point is the way they made their crosses. You can't say that these dogs weren't producing some good dogs. Did they produce better than Buck? No, but one thing for damn sure. That's not even a question when you got a person who's sitting there with a line of dogs that able to go out there and put these dogs out there on the circuit and get the results that he was getting. He had a lot to talk shit about, you know, and Lord knows it really gotten better when they start crossing the Mayday stuff to the shit. See, but this is what happens when you be breeding Patrick dogs. Even when it comes down to those Hollandworth dogs, I mean, not the Hollandworth dogs, those dogs that they was crossing, the Boyle crosses, dude, they was going back to Eli. Remember, you were still taking the Eli dogs with your Carver dogs anyway, crossing. They were all line bred dogs. Some went to the black, others went to the red. You know, and you see the consistency. Now, you were to go to question, you know, you see consistency. Okay? You don't go grab me a black dog and a tan dog and start putting them together and you're not getting nothing but one of these. Come on now. We know what it takes to get these type of dogs. Even when we was crossing it into the Boyle stuff, with the Cherokee stuff, with the Eli stuff, look what kind of dogs we were getting. Black dogs or these dogs. Dogs were throwing black. Quentin didn't throw no black dogs. Not getting on the possibility, I'm just pointing out, pay attention. So when you go investigate and you look at these things and then you start asking yourself, okay, he got a point, a big point. These aren't the same things as they got the same lines of in them, but this is where you get you get a profit, not just because of Buck. Buck was bred to produce. You know, he was bred to produce. Nice dog right there. Really didn't produce like he was though. You know what I mean? And again, I would have been crossing that shit into some Mayday. I'm sorry. I'd have took this champion dog and would have been breeding that dog to Katana. You know what I mean? You probably would have seen a whole different makeup. Kingfish Kid, a 6-time winner. Look at him, looking like a what? A Mayday dog. Uh-huh. Look at the cross. You find that in Mayday. Sasha. Look at the cross. Did we do anything different? No, we still got what? Remember, we Eli and Carver dogs anyway. There go Golden Boy. Remember what I was telling y'all? Remember that move right there? Remember that move? Taking them males, bringing them to different bitches, and then turn around putting those dogs together. what they're looking for. Production. Production. Okay. Mm-hmm. My Kingfish Kid. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going all the way back to where I started at. My point is, don't be afraid to cross. Don't patch your dogs into them Eli dogs. You get the right dogs. And as you notice, guys that these pedigrees that I'm pulling up, these ain't no name guys doing these breedings. These ain't no name guys doing these breedings. These are dog men. Steady they moves. That's all I'm saying. Steady they moves. Remember that move? Remember? I keep pointing it out. I keep showing it to you. Bring the two different chicks, different females, and then take them and bring them back together. How many times did I show y'all that move tonight? You're seeing dog men are doing dogs, doing that move. If you're paying attention and catching on to that, we're talking about dog men, not talking about breeders. You know what I mean? Okay, might get me back into the garage so I can. Okay, we back in. Okay, I should be back up. All right, guys, I'm back. One of the points that I was trying to point out tonight was, you know, a lot of things, especially when you don't be knowing and you be wondering, well, them devils was matching a lot of dogs. Well, I don't see them doing nothing no different than what STP was doing. I don't see them doing nothing more different than what Deep South was doing. I don't see them doing no different than what we was doing. They was doing it at a bigger scale because they probably had a lot more money than what we was playing with. And they was playing in the same pot of food. Guys that was playing in the same pot of food was getting the same results and just stayed to the program. I liked the Niggerino cross. I liked the way they jumped in there with that Niggerino. I liked the way they jumped in there with that Chinaman and Bolero. I mean, see, those are things to consider. Why keep trying to run away from it? Because it don't look right. Well, I just took y'all back in there and showed you what it looked like when you breed it right. You know, making points, getting you to understand, you know, and not talking in today's world because ain't none of these dogs part of today. These are all historical moves. Good, steady pieces, though. You know, I covered the crab dogs. I covered, you know, the origin of how Red Ruby was produced. And no, they just didn't pop up out of clear blue sky when they made it to me. they had already made it. They made it to me because there was one more way to go, especially dealing with evolution in them. You know, shit. What brought black ice to my yard? The same thing that brought them guys to my yard. They was all matching dogs. See what I'm saying? What brought BBK to my yard? That's West Coast shit. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody out there but bratting them. But when you look at Baby and you go back and you do your homework and look at what Baby was doing, Baby was bred to Mayday dogs. Every Mayday dog that she bred to produced. Same with Sassy Girl. Every Mayday dog you bred to them, they do something. You know? May too. They gonna throw something. You know what I mean? And I hope y'all can play some of these things back, man, and go look at how these guys was breeding their dogs. You know, and this is from the past. So when you paying attention to these dogs, you know, there's nothing they were doing to look forward to. I mean, they sure didn't look like they was trying to breed to run up a tree. You know, they sure wasn't trying to breed to put it on a meal, you know, because all that wasn't a factor back then. But say if it's a factor now, then why not take the concept? How you gonna breed a good treadmill runner if you don't understand how they was breeding the great match dogs? If I'm gonna fall in that category of being a great wall climber or a treadmiller or a conformation, I'll be looking at the way these dogs is built and concentrating on what they were doing. Maybe you're not gonna be doing what they were doing, but one thing for damn sure, if you understand the breeding aspect of what they was doing, you should be able to incorporate it into your breeding program and have results. Not just putting papers together, but get the results. Because these guys weren't just putting papers together. It was not one pedigree that I pulled up there tonight that was a paper lineup. It was more of a purpose lineup because we saw purpose in what they were doing. We seen a lot of those males getting bred back to their daughters, and then they taking them daughters and breeding those daughters together, and they was getting those puppies off of those daughters and was getting good dogs. So you already know that's a part that you guys got to catch on to know it's a part of a formula that works. We saw them taking Eli dogs, full-fledged Eli dogs, something you guys are frowned to. They was doing it and getting match dogs. Where do we see Jeep in there anywhere? We didn't see Jeep in there nowhere tonight. Nowhere tonight did we run in the Jeep. When we talk about Boomerang and the snooty dogs, we talking about the same damn dogs. You know what I'm saying? Arch Missy, Boomerang, they litter mates. Look at the way they produce. Look at Snooty, a red and white dog. Look at the Boomerang stuff. Looking like the Boyle's dogs. You know? They were all genetically, they all carry certain genetics, man, that if you're breeding in a certain way, it's going to show up. Those traits, and you're going to know when there's something wrong with it. You going to know because something going to be out of place. Too many other motherfuckers are doing it over here this way, ain't looking like that. So why is your shit looking so much different? Because it ain't like that. Too many traits are missing. Some of them traits belong way over here, making you think that it ain't bred like you say it is over there, because it looks too much like this shit that's coming over here that we got a lot of it. There's too much evidence over here showing me that, hey, there's something wrong over there. You know what I mean? Remember, we seen what those dogs look like. I could pull up Dolly, and Dolly gonna look just like all them other dogs. You know, you're gonna be right back to like all the other dogs. You know what I'm saying? You just give me one of them. I'll put it up there. You know what I mean? Looking like all them other dogs we've been looking at tonight. Looking like all the other shit we've been looking at tonight. Put that yellow on top of that. We can take that same shit and we go over the grand champion buck. Do the same thing. And in each one of them, we put the yellow on there with to that carver shit. We got great dogs. Not only did we get great dogs, we got great producing dogs. Gotta know how to work that hand. There go the Tonka stuff. Here and here. See it? There it goes again. See them moves? Those are great factors. Little cater to that stuff. And what do they do with it? Put this shit in there. What I tell you? Look, what you see what I'm saying? Carver stuff. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because we know it'll work. You know, they knew it'll work. Just pay attention. Study the pedigrees, man. Don't fall, I always say, don't take your eyes out of focus and look at it. Keep your eyes focused and look a little closer. What looks foggy to you, stay in there till it starts clearing up so you can understand what's really going on. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, it's done in a certain way. And if you catch on to what's being done, then you will find yourself producing great dogs. Okay, Mike, don't put me back there. Now, is there any questions out there, Mike, that I need to be answering? Take me back to the lobby, and I'll go in, and hopefully we didn't miss nobody or no questions. Now, I'm going to tell you now, anybody got anything to say? I know the link is down, Mike, the link out there. Anybody want to call in, give your opinion? Anybody got any questions? The floor is open. Anybody got anything to say? The floor open for you. Like I said, when I walked away in 2004, I had a few dollars left, but I came back in 2006. I was dealing with a whole new setup. A lot of the dogs that I sold, they were gone, but I still had dogs around. That's when they started seeing me messing with Brick in them, and that's how we ended up with, you know, crossing into Maytu into those the very dog that we beat and went through our 17 minutes with. We ended up breeding Maytu into the dog Little Mate's sister that we beat and came up with a line of good dogs. And that's Red Boy G crossed into the Mayday. Why would I be scared to make a move like that? There's no need to be worried when you know it was working. I think I went on that back on just the fact that I saw that mirror that was on Psycho, and why wouldn't I? We gotta have Jeep and everything in our shit. But I showed you tonight you can get these dogs without even having Jeep. Look at the Niggerino shit. Look at the Niggerino shit crossed with some Stone City Mayday. Come up with that 10-time winner. Straight, I mean, you got Niggerino in there about over 10, 12 times in that top side of that dog. Top side of that dog, you got all that Niggerino and Eli crossed into there with Stone City. That damn near like putting Jeep in there. We all got an idea how it worked. Gotta remember Twisted had Jeep in him. No, he had the Budweiser dog. So it's really still the Boudreaux stuff, the banjo stuff. I mean, I'll be trying to find me some good old banjo stuff. I wouldn't be afraid to be checking out some of these good crosses of Mayday stuff. I mean, especially these days, because what's really left out there is really left is a little bit of Barracuda, a little bit of Lucane. I don't even see anything. You got it's the crosses that they're still made relevant. The crosses, that'll save the Mayday stuff if you make the right crosses. Piloting on top of Mayday is not the cross to go. You got to pile a little Mayday up there on it and set it up for the outs. If you want to still continue to run with the Mayday Stone City, then fine. But guess what? There's other avenues instead of just piling on top. No, you go grab some of that shit that you don't think look right. Because the shit that don't look right, been done before. Once you see it been done before, then that should give you the thumbs up to do it. I ain't trying to sit back and try to do something I ain't seeing being done that didn't work. I mean, I'm wasting dog food. I'm wasting chain space. Hey, shout out to the Mad Doctor. My man, my peoples. Coming up in there with that love, baby. I see you. Upper echelon. Coming in there with a 10-piece. Feeling it, baby. Feeling it. Shout out. Yeah, well, Macho Buck is, he still produced, but he's that Mayday Stone City cross. You know what I'm saying? Remember, that cross right there, it's not going to be too much of that shit left. Stone City ain't out there really no more. You got Stone City dogs, but the best producing-wise is the stuff that we had the Macho Buck stuff in there. We still got some Maytu stuff in there, but, just a little bit of that. Why? Because the focus ain't on there because there's not a lot of people out there. But one proven fact that was able to be done, and that was we produced them going hard dogs got out there and went into other people's hands, and they ran with it. And I think the reason why they were successful with it because I didn't even go into our shit one time tonight, but to show you here or there. But I'll show you there's a whole bunch of ways that, not just the Stone City Mayday cross, but the Stone City Mayday with the Ratless stuff. They did a lot of different stuff with that stuff. I mean, I liked it even more when I seen the Niggerino cross with the stuff. Yeah, I always said, I think I said it on somebody's show, I said, that Mayday buck cross was like a whole nother line. It was like a generational effect of almost like what we call the tombstone, the die bowl. They have such a major impact in the dog game. That breeding had such a major impact. You know, I think that was Androff who was talking about all the grand champions that, you know, when you go comparing them to the Boyles dogs, and you see how quick I jumped on that because there was a whole bunch of grand champions he probably didn't know. And I showed you a couple of them tonight, you know, a couple of them, you know. And that was just by 2 kennels. I didn't even reach over there and grab the rest of them that we already know what was out there, like Haunch and them. I popped up with some grand champions and stuff that a lot of you guys didn't even know was around off of Mayday. And like I said, them guys had to be in cool. If anybody know, you know, I know Eric and them. So they would probably be able to tell you who DDK and them was better than I could. Because I wasn't really around during the time that they was doing all that. I know that I met the boys when they came and bought Madame because they came to buy a female, and the female that I was selling them was off of Brad and Maytu. And that's what they were looking for, tight inbred Mayday bitch that they wanted to breed. And they took her and ran right to a Stone City dog because they knew when they breed that Stone City stuff back across there with that Mayday, it would work. And it did. Okay, we got one. We got to go back in. We got to put one up for one of the guys out here. You know, anytime they go pushing one to go, even though they got something to show me, I got to come and see it. My man, he got that niggerino. I got somebody out there that got some of that niggerino, y'all. You know, I was trying to, I wondered, I showed him, you know, what I would do if I had that niggerino shit, okay? Because we already seen it. And from what I know, that dog was a 10-time winner. And I got confirmation that dog existed. I got confirmation that that dog existed. He was a double grand champion for real. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, that's Macho Buck. Yeah, that's Macho Buck. That's the same Macho Buck we've been talking about tonight. He got Mayday in him, but it's not the Mayday in him. It's the combination of the Mayday. It's not even Mayday. It's the Patrick Cross. Remember, it's the Patrick Cross. Yellow and Patrick produce some hellified dogs, and they produce good dogs. That's the point that I'm making. This little move right here. All this is basically the same shit, just flipped around. There's yellow here, there's yellow there. There's going to be Patrick here, and there's going to be Patrick here. You put it together, and yes, you got greatness, but a long-standing greatness. Remember, Bebe and them was the first to do this. Before these two did it, before these two dogs came together, there was a line already being out there like that. Wasn't tight as this one. But one damn thing for sure, when I bred my Mayday cross to the Stone City cross, I got a bitch that was a goddamn registered mare with 4 champions. And a little mate brother who was a threat. So the expectations should have gave everybody an idea what to expect, because what these two dogs and that line, this line itself did, it changed the game. And it sure didn't hurt when you started adding this shit to it. You just taking this stuff right here, that's already there. It's already there. already they're tight, and you just bringing it down here, putting that yellow on top of it, something that was made to do, something that's constantly seeing to work, and you keep getting these type of dogs. You still see the nice bodies, the white tips on the feet, looking like Dolly. It's not going to change. Genetics will stand out, and it stands out more in not just the looks, but the body and the battle. They were cattle, dogs. No, yeah, that was it, right? Yeah. You know, Macho Buck, you know, that's him in a lot of these pedigrees. A lot of guys don't know that's still the same grand champion Macho Buck. That's still the same old grand champion Macho Buck right there. But like I was saying, them DDK boys, they had to know evolution because they was getting dogs directly off. And you know, when you got money, you can get anything. You know, because you see what they was doing. You see what they was doing. They was using their money, and they had no problem going around getting it. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. They wasn't. They were. Everybody was doing it. Anybody either wanted to do it, and you know, for Mark Davis to try to do something or make a move like that, because I sold him this dog right here, pregnant, full of Maytu puppies. When I sent that dog down to Mad, that bitch had Maytu puppies in her. Uppercut Diesel Sassy, and we already know what Sassy was produced. You know, coming off a little Mayday. Remember the Bruiser breeding, Yellow Apache? Romero Buck is nothing more than putting Tramp on this top and Sassy on the bottom. Is what produced Romero Buck. They took Romero Buck, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, what they took from Champion Romero and bred him to Sir Kill, and that's where Champion Romero Buck come from. Taking the same old thing, taking Mayday, crossing it into the Stone City shit. But that was just following the lead. I had to have the dog. I got my hands on it. I couldn't wait. I better write to Lil Mayday. Better write to Lil Mayday. But just showing y'all the different ways that they do it, you know, and it really comes up with guys is doing. Yeah, she was producing some dogs too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was a little bit to Hannah now. Mm-hmm. No, she wasn't. Yeah, not the little mate. Nope. Nor was she Hannah's. Hannah came out. Let me show you. maybe all them. There go Macho. There go Salsa. There go Comeback. There go Matey. That's Black Ice's dog. There go Damien. Now, before they was all buying these dogs, Victor had 81 of these dogs on his yard. And somehow they came from Ecuador down there to Texas, down there with Evolution. You see, Evolution ended up with a lot of those crosses on their yard. This dog right here gonna be my dog of the night, y'all. I'll tell you why this dog made dog of the night. And then that was back in 2006. These boys right here had to be around Evolution. They had to be around Evolution Kennels to get this shit. And to be able to get their hands on it and breed it. This is Hannah's littermate brother. I mean, sister. They was Hannah and Red were littermates. See, there goes Sandra. I think Hannah was in the first breed, and I think the Red came out of the second breeding. Or they might have came out the same breeding. I think they came out of the second breeding. Hannah and Red came out of the second breeding. They go Blackface. Richard used to advertise the hell out of this dog here. Yeah, just to point out, once them boys hooked up with Victor or with Evolution, because they went from Red Boy dogs to the Mayday dog and them Stone City dogs and didn't never go back. They didn't never turn around. Go back to old Red. They never changed, they never went back. Yeah, Red Ruby came after these dogs here. I think these dogs here led wanted kennels, most wanted kennels to us. That's what happened. And it was during the time that I was getting out of the dogs too. And I had those dogs, these dogs used to be on my website. I used to have a website. And I had the made 2 brat puppies on the, up there. I had Brat and them up there. You know, I had them all. Sassy Girl, that's how Jamie came through and bought Sassy and Brat and all them. And bought the rest of those made 2 brat pups. I think he didn't even get all them back. When he, you know, when the guy took Brat, he didn't give all those Brat made 2 puppies to him either. But yeah, he picked up a lot of dogs when he left my yard. He had Sassy, Baby, Brat, and puppies. But that's Hannah's littermate sister. I told you, may they produce some bad bitches. Y'all be sleeping on that. I kept telling y'all. You start talking about grand champions, you get to add Luca to that shit. You know, these dogs is before Luca. Yeah, before Miss Luca. These dogs is before Miss Luca. So it's like this line of dogs, I always said this line of dogs is like a whole new, you know, when you look at it, it's like a whole revelation. This shit now, me, I be putting me some bulldog shit in that shit. You know, we gotta look at it. We look at Yellow Man and all Yellow Dog. You know, look at all those females, Spice and Hella Storm. These dogs got backgrounds. They set up for those kind of crosses. You know, definitely set up for them. Imagine when we take Buddy Love and take Champion Buddy Love and cross him into this stuff. That Garner shit, we ain't got nothing to be scared of. We ain't got nothing to be scared of. You hit on that cross. Yeah, we're gonna be putting this on that Mayday stuff. Yeah. Do your homework and you'll see where it comes from. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I mean? And then you go take that right there and you turn right around and with the stars line up right, I'm banking on help bringing this over there to that. Cause this the new thing. You see when they were bringing Chinaman to the shit. You know, these new dogs, these the new dogs, these mugs right here. These black dogs. Ain't nobody scared to turn that shit into black now these days. I ain't. You don't see buck, you don't see yellow, you don't see none of that in there. You're gonna see that when you get down. When we get down with it. This is the way I'm going. I'm going this way. Cause you already know why I'm going this way. I don't even gotta say it, do I? You can read. No, you put that in there. And then you got a yellow dog. I'm gonna take them two right there, breed them. I'm gonna breed this same female, Zelda. I'm gonna take this same female right here. I'm gonna breed the buddy, then I'm going to Yellow Man next. She'll be breeding the buddy because it's a line breed. Then I'm gonna breed her to Yellow Man. The yellow dog. It's all black shit. Okay? I'm tapping right back in there. Yes, I am. I'm tapping right back in there. Don't forget the little females we got running around here. off of the Michael Myers stuff and the Yellow Man stuff. Each one of them gonna go to Yellow Dog and the other one going to Well, we wasn't even in, was we, man? Okay, they missed all that shit I was saying. Oh God, I'm sorry, man. I said a whole bunch in that shit pointing to that. I was showing these upcoming breedings and stuff. I was on. Yeah. Okay, I'll take it back. What I was saying was, this is the female we taking the buddy. To buddy love. And what I was going to show you was, I'm going in. Hold on. We either gonna go take that to either that or C note. Either way, we're gonna be grabbing this shit. And what we setting up for is to be able to take this stuff, crossing this stuff off of the female. Remember what I said? We take one of the females to Buddy Love, and then we take another female to Yellow Dog, and then this is gonna be another breeding. We're gonna take one of them females. We're gonna take them back over here to him. You see what I'm saying? Because remember where we at. Look what we doing. This is Eli, a whole lot of red boy. But we're going to get this in here. This is what we nabbing after. This is what we nabbing after. Remember what I told you? Take them female, okay, one female, boom, boom. Then take this female, boom, boom. Then you put them offsprings together. And start the same old shit that we were doing at the beginning of the show. Y'all seeing the same setup being done in the now. The concept. Same old thing DDK and them with most one was doing. Same thing. We're reaching in the basket, pulling out the same concept. Ain't trying to build nothing new. Ain't trying to build nothing new. There's enough right there. I can work with that. I can work with the dog. Dog was a good dog. Got a brother out there, little mate. Might be a champion by then. I might want to change my mind and go to him. You know what I'm saying? But you see what they did. You see them doing the same old thing, crossing it, crossing it. Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna put a halt to it right there. I'm gonna leave the line open for anybody want to ask any questions. I ain't checking no chats, none of that. I hope you was catching on because I was kind of moving through it, wasn't laying on shit long, pointing out major pieces to that. I know the part that y'all missed was, the yellow dog going to, and Zelda being crossed into these dogs. All these moves right here just being made. Yeah, Zelda right there. Zelda, we're gonna take Zelda over there to Ruger. We're either gonna take her to Ruger or we're gonna take her over to Little May Brother C-No. I'm trying to check on Casanova to see if he's still producing, because I would take her to Casanova first, then come back and pick up Ruger or C-No later. But This female here, after she gets bred to Buddy Love, she's going to one of those dogs. Either Casanova, she's either going to go to Casanova, or we're going to take her over there to Ruger or Cino, his mate brother. Offspring. Yeah, give me to my 10-time winner. What we trying to reproduce is this shit. Not the niggerino side of it. Would love to. I know somebody out there got some niggerino dogs, tight bred. They should be looking at this shit they damn self. You know what I mean? Because it definitely worked. It definitely worked. Yeah, just that one right there gonna be my dog of the night. My move for the future. Look at the things that I was speaking on, and I hate to see you guys miss that. But if you just go back and just check out the pedigrees that cause I definitely y'all missed a lot in between there. The move between Buddy Love and Yellow Dog and the significance of what we're trying to do. And just taking the females. Remember, it's the mindset of the breeder. It's all in the mindset of the breeder. Remember, I pointed out, breeders are the ones to make the difference. What is the mindset? Why did he do that? What was his purpose of doing that? Steady. Well, I ain't trying to make up something new. I'm trying to make some shit that's already been shown to work. Consistency. That's how you bring the old back to the new. You take what's good from the old that's been made it through time and cross your damn fingers. But give me a chance to do a better move when I see what I'm looking for and what I expect already sitting there where I don't have to take a guess. All in understanding the mind of a breeder. Okay, Mike. Your show, Mike.
All right, fellas, show me some love for this Tuesday night. Big shout out to all my people who, supported the channel. Big shout out to everybody out in the Shark Tank. Big shout out to all my people out there on the back street. As we know how we do this, if you understood, if you didn't understand, I'll make sure, the email address runs across the bottom, and then you already know you can always just put your question in the comment, and we always will try to address it. For right now, for the people I got still left in the house, show me some love, man. Show me some love. Get me to understand you kind of got a appreciation for the things that people do, and especially if it's going to help you by giving me some damn thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Muscles, muscles, muscles. Now, give me some damn roses, roses. We need them damn roses. Show the love, man. Anybody got any questions? All of it's going to be appreciated. Look, fellas, most wanted Kennels, Team DDK. If you pay attention to what they was doing, we could, you know, we're showing you the things that made people want to come to our yard. Everybody was matching dogs. But if you notice, we weren't the only ones doing this. Look at all the major kennels that we have been in. If you notice, we didn't even get over there to even deal with our proteges. Y'all seen Max, we didn't even go up to Jamie and show you what Jamie did. There's other people who was doing the same thing, who had the same success, but you see, you seen Max over there. I remember, who had Max? Jamie? No, Deep South. Deep South had Max. So look what they was doing. Look how they was doing it. Remember, we was running with them. So everybody who was fast laning it, trying to create the yards and at least had to stay busy back in them times, because that's what was important to everybody. We was always trying to do the same thing. And if it don't be for the people knowing who they were doing it with, these dogs wouldn't have never existed. That's the facts. Just the fact of the matter, and history takes care of the rest. All right, fellas, sorry about that. It was on mute. Had the thing on mute. We sitting here just running our damn mouth. We said for the last 10 minutes. Sorry about that, fellas. Hey, look here. Just in case y'all ain't heard me, big shout out to everybody. Look, don't forget to hit the like button. I don't see enough thumbs up. I don't see enough muscles, and I don't see enough roses. Hey, bear with me as I learn this new format. Again, sound might be a little crazy because you got outside our other program, we got to do a lot of stuff moving around here, and I'm just getting familiar with it. But y'all show some love, at least, give me some thumbs up, some muscles and some roses on the way out. I mean, we had 10 minutes of just one away and that. I'm sitting here looking at the thing, but a little couple buttons and stuff right here, then all that happens. But outside of all that, for you guys, understand this. It's not a matter of what you're doing on the yard. What really matters is what the results is when you're done. That's more important than anything that advice I can give you when you start talking about these dogs, a breeding program, and their purpose.
Climbing, you got treadmills, you got confirmation, you got weight pool. Hey, it might work for us when we go out and grab our dogs and say we start off building our yard with match dogs. Fine. But what if I'm taking what I'm building off of these match dogs and I'm taking them over there to the wall climbing? Okay, I get over there to the wall climbing, and now I got a winner. I don't even need the match dogs no more. I need to take this one dog that I'm winning with over here on the wall and make some good breedings with him. And now I'm gonna get me a couple wall climbing winners. If it's gonna work for you, guess what you're gonna have? Some wall climbing winners. Do you think I need a match dog to build on my yard? No. I need some good wall climbing dogs. I might have to grab some of them match dogs and cross with my dog that's winning. But what am I doing? I'm trying to breed more winning wall climbers or more winning treadmills. What if now I'm breaking a line that I'm out here going into competition? I'm not just winning with one dog. I got a line of dogs that's going out here making noise. The pedigree don't even have nothing to do with match dogs anymore. Not when I'm sitting here building my success off of wall climbing, crossing the dogs that's reproducing, dogs that's doing like they daddy did, the one who was winning. Now I got offsprings winning. You can do that same old stuff on a treadmill, a weight pool, a confirmation. It's the match dogs don't even matter in these categories anymore. The ones that I have concern with is the ones just breeding these dogs and ain't doing none of that with it. My question would be, well, why are they breeding this shit? What would be the purpose? Especially if we're looking in the categories. If what you're doing doesn't fit none of these categories, it don't fit the match dogs, it don't fit the treadmills, it don't fit the confirmation, it don't fit the wall, then what are you doing with it? What are we supposed to expect from that? That is my question. Because it's all pertaining to competing. And each line of dogs will become good in what their purpose is. I build on the purpose of the dogs. We might have started off using match dogs, but in the end, what am I breeding now? I'm breeding dogs that can win on the wall. So if I'm breeding a line of dogs that's coming strictly off for the wall, you know what I mean? I'm not concentrating on going back grabbing match dog. I'm gonna be trying to create a dog that can produce and get up that wall like his daddy did, or his mama produced. He produced me 2 or 3 dogs that was real good in wall climbing. I'm making a name of my kennel, and people gonna be in the wall climbing gonna be buying these dogs. People that's in the weight pulling gonna be buying these dogs. People that's doing treadmills is gonna be buying these dogs. This is what I'm breeding for. I'm breeding for winners on the treadmill. I got a line of dogs that can run that treadmill, and I'm showing y'all because I'm winning with it. Guess what? People gonna see that too. If they're doing treadmill dogs and they want to be competitive and they want to win, they're gonna be knocking on my damn door. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna be looking around trying to find no damn match dog. They're gonna be trying to come to the person who's sitting there in their category showing worthiness. Worthiness. It fits their category. Keep these dogs in their own category and build off your category. Again, my question goes out to the ones that doesn't do nothing but breed for what? Is my question. Can I be trying to shoot anybody down? Nobody is not doing this breeding dogs for no purpose, but to talk and be high on their line of what they're breeding. But for what? It serves no purpose to anybody that's competing, regardless of what category you're in. I want to buy and produce my dogs for the purpose of the category that I'm in. I want to see a line of dogs that's got a winning percentage in the category that I'm in. I'll breed to that dog because a hybrid. If he's got success, then I'm going to go breed to that shit, or I'm going to buy me a puppy from him. And that goes for all categories. You know what I'm saying? So take note of that, fellas, and keep asking those questions. You know, and that'll start. You know, to me, I feel like that is, you know, if everybody has a purpose, that's one thing. But if you don't have a purpose but to breed, then we know what your purpose is. You're just breeding to sell dogs. For anybody that's out there trying to do something with a purpose, then why do you need that shit? When you're grabbing something based on a pedigree that has no purpose in your category. Okay. Y'all feel where I'm coming from with that, fellas? You know.
Okay, fellas, as we get ready to check up out of here, remember, we started this thing out with Most Wanted Kennels and Team DDK. Why were they so important? Well, just look. We always told y'all there was people that was on a level that we probably would never be able to achieve. But the fact was, just based on knowing these people, look at them. We know most women have been on their yard. We know that VBK been on the yard. You know the Black Guys been on the yard. Remember, those are West Coast people. I started this show off earlier by just trying to get y'all set up to, you know, why would people be going to the Twins yard? When you got all these other people out, why is everybody going over to GSK yard? Well, there was a reason everybody was coming, because look what they was doing. Why were we going to some of these other people's yard? Look what they was doing. This trend been like this since the beginning of the dog game. And this trend should not change just because the laws change and you guys are finding another purpose. But that purpose of how we create these dogs is never going to change. It's all about the best being bred back to the best, and the handlers given the best the opportunity to be the best, regardless of what category that you rolling in. So take the notes, man. Write this stuff down. Go back. check the video out and just pay attention to what was actually being said tonight. You know, because every time we get on that bus and we go to show y'all something, there's always something in there that you can always relate to that's going to help you now. That's the part that's important, because we're not trying to steer you in the wrong way. We're trying to give you as much information that we can possibly get you able to survive doing it the right way, because a dog don't know the difference. If it's in them to do it, they're going to get it done. So appreciate everybody for showing up and showing out. Maybe everybody who, you know, came through and, you know, gave them donations. Hey, fellas, it's not a matter about how much you give. It's the fact that you give. For the ones who sit around and just take in all that information, all I ask you to do is be at least grateful enough to hit the like button, hit a couple thumbs, hit a couple muscles, and a couple roses. And trust me, man, you know, that holds a lot of appreciation from us, because if you don't have nothing to give, it's not like you don't have something to give that don't cost you nothing. And them are little small things. So help us out there anytime that you can. Again, we're going to be back here Friday if God permits. But until then, you know, y'all got to keep doing what you're doing. Keep repping the way you're repping. I'm kind of disappointed that I can't get nobody to come up and hit that damn link. And I know I had it pinned up tonight. But you know what? Fellas, we don't know everything. And it's important that I see a lot of people in the chat typing things, but it's easier for people to hear your conversation than to read it. Because the thing about that little typing thing, there's no story behind what you're saying. The thing about hitting that link, that means you can speak what you're saying. And even in the process of doing that, we can help you get your point across. We can help you produce your receipts. We can help to give you a platform to where you can, you know, share your information, share your stance. Because again, we always tell y'all it's hard to, you know, argue with us about our past, because there's nothing back there that you can change. But we're not walking around here saying we know everything and everybody either. It's just a matter of who we know, who we can speak on and feel comfortable about speaking on, and can show you their body of work or why we speak on them. You know, everybody should be in that mind frame if it's going to help the next man. This ain't about hating on nobody or making anybody better than anybody, because as you notice, I just showed y'all 2 more kennels that had a couple 8 times and double grand champions and a whole lot of bulldog. And they had money. Me and Mo used to call them, you know, the American Pit Bull Terrier BMF crew. Because then there's no different hardcore, no different than Super Kennels, no different than STP. I mean, all these guys had the same thing in common, man. They matched dogs at a level of excellence that their history has shown these people are worthy of talking about. So, you know, that's the whole point about these conversations. If you didn't know them, you know them now. If you don't know their dogs, you know them now. If you don't know the body of work or what kind of dogs they was running, you know them now. Take that information and just apply whatever's going to make your boat float and move a little bit faster, because what they've done has already been set in stone. What you're going to do, the future is waiting on you. But who are we to say what your future is going to look like? We don't know. But we can do all we can as far as help you move forward on it without, you know, because it's not about us hating. It's out. The dog is going to be the dog. We just want to preserve the things that made the dog what the dog is. So check us out on Friday. Come with a little bit, come with your questions. Y'all can always leave questions in the comment sections on some of these videos. You have the email. We do take time to read these things. I will go back to some of them old videos, them phone numbers, they still do work. But, thanks again for showing up, showing out, participate. And, this game has been built on, falling down and getting back up. Learning from your mistakes. Achieving that thing called excellence. So help me out as we help you out. And we all gonna go out knowing this one thing, that you always scratch to win. Fellas, y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Everybody stay safe and trust and believe. It's not over. So until Friday, we out of here.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard Kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.